This is ITV News at 10 with Tom Bradby.
Good evening. The term broken Britain has sometimes been used to describe the state of our society, and you can certainly question how accurate that is. But anyone who's watched our reports on the dreadful condition of some of the country's housing can be in no doubt there is a rot which urgently needs fixing. Now, Daniel Hewitt has spent 2 weeks on the Eastfields Estate in South London, where some residents' homes are literally falling down around them and rodents scramble through holes in the walls. Tenants told us how their complaints have been ignored for years and they've quite simply had enough. The site is owned by Clarion, whose head of housing told us how sorry she is, although she hasn't actually visited any residents in the past year. There is promise of a major regeneration, but tenants say it's one they've been waiting years to be fulfilled.
For almost 50 years, families of this South London suburb have called the Eastfields Estate their home. But time has not been kind. And inside these three-storey blocks, owned and managed by Britain's biggest housing association, their tenants feel as tired and neglected as the crumbling buildings they're forced to live in. Mum of three, Juliet Arthur, and her husband work 3 jobs between them to afford the £1,300 a month Clarion Housing charge to live in this.
This is where the hole is.
Oh, wow.
That's how he left it.
A leak in her living room she first reported in June 2020 went unfixed, so in November the ceiling caved in, inches from where her son was doing schoolwork.
Imagine having your child sitting there under a roof and it just dropped. And my children, the little one came, "Mommy, the roof has come down."
Do you worry about their safety when you're not here?
Every day.
7 months on, the hole remains, and the leak has plunged the house into darkness. None of the lights upstairs have worked since November, including the children's bedroom.
My mum keep on calling them, and they're not like messaging or calling, saying, we're going to be coming. Yeah.
No, they don't.
No.
On the other side of the estate, Janet is working 2 jobs to pay for a Clarion flat that is falling apart. She shows us the squalor that is her rotting, broken bathroom, and the kitchen where she cooks for her family, crumbling around her. The ceiling's covered in mould, the walls are full of holes. She's had to fill in herself to keep out a growing infestation of mice.
And the mouse come from this hole.
What, the mouse come through here?
Yeah. The mouse
Is this cement?
Yeah, it's a cement.
Did you do this?
Yeah, I do it.
What is that?
It's a hole.
Why is there a hole there?
I don't know. When I come, it was here.
So it's been like that for 27 years?
Yes.
Have you told them about the problems in here?
I told them. So they don't care. They don't care.
Janet isn't the only tenant to report a rodent problem to Clarion. Eastfields residents shared with us video after video of mice and rats in their kitchens, their bedrooms and their bathrooms. Clarion has promised to regenerate this estate and move tenants into new properties, but the dozens of tenants we spoke to in the 2 weeks we spent here say that promise was first made 6 years ago and still no one has been moved. Maria and Christopher have lived here for nearly 30 years. They've watched the estate fall deeper into disrepair. A leak in the corridor is the latest in a long line of problems, but their biggest worry is in the hallway. Christopher's disability makes it difficult for him to walk, and he keeps tripping over these broken tiles.
They're not seem all that bothered about getting repairs and jobs done. They don't seem to care about the tenants, as long as they get the rent money every month.
The Clarion, who obviously run the place here, their chief executive earns £350,000 a year. That's her salary.
What for? Well, get her to live in these places and see how she likes it.
Not being nasty. What are they doing for that money? What are they doing?
Clarion told us their chief executive's pay is in line with other organisations of a similar size. Why have so many Clarion tenants been left to live in Eastfields in such squalor for so many years?
Getting the balance right between how much you spend in the short and the long term on an estate that ultimately has come to the end of its life is difficult. I'm absolutely clear that we have not got the balance right on the Eastfields estate, and I'd like to apologise on behalf of Clarion to all of those residents.
When was the last time you went to Eastfields?
So I haven't been to Eastfields for, over the last year because of the pandemic.
But you're here today. You're in a room with me today.
I'm here today, and I am
so why are you there?
I'm going to be part of the team that goes out and knocks on every single resident's door.
Tenants think that you think they aren't important. They complain for years and nothing really gets fixed. Then we turn up and we contact you, and suddenly things start to get fixed. And they look at that and they think, oh no, we were right, we don't matter to them. They're right, aren't they?
I and the senior management team are completely committed to putting in extra resources on this estate to get this right.
These homes may have reached the end of their life, but their replacements haven't even started being built. In the meantime, residents fear their suffering will continue to be met with silence.
Well, there are some familiar themes to Daniel's stories now. The conditions are frequently worse than we could possibly have imagined. The tenants say they've been complaining for years and no one cares. And as soon as we approach those responsible for the flats in question, they immediately say how really very sorry they are, though not sorry enough to have actually done anything about it, all of which leads us to the conclusion that this is a truly national scandal. What else can you say? And Daniel is here to talk about all this. Look, let's be clear. In the past, we've been, some of what we've been showing is council-owned housing. This is owned by a very large company, this block of flats.
Yeah, it's an important distinction to make, Tom. Because on the face of it, what councils do and what housing associations do is very similar. They provide people predominantly on lower income, sometimes vulnerable, properties at a lower rent because they can't afford market rent. The difference is councils have their budgets set by the central government. We know their money has dropped in the last 10 years. It made them harder for them to maintain and repair their housing stock. Clarion are basically a big business. They don't make profits, but they turn over huge sums of money. £943 million they made this year. That's 100 million than last year. They have a surplus of 113 million pounds money in the bank. So this for them isn't a money issue. Now, some in the sector believe what has happened here with housing associations is they focus way too much on building new houses and selling them, paying themselves enormous salaries, and instead of doing what they are set out to do, which is provide people with good quality homes.
OK, Daniel, well, to be continued, I'm sure. For now, thank you very much indeed. So let's move on. And while US-Russian relations may be a bit frosty, we're not yet at the point of a significant escalation, something Joe Biden said was in nobody's interest after he met President Putin in Geneva today. In fact, both sides were keen to talk